Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Push to Talk. Let me deal with some stuff real quick. Hang on a second. Yeah, welcome everybody to another edition of Push to Talk. It is Saturday, the 10th of June, 2023, and we have a bunch of people here for you to talk about the comings and goings of the week. We have Erik, obviously.
Say hello, Erik, who's a lovely black screen on the stream.
Yeah, we've been trying to sort of work through some technical difficulties as such, but and we'll iron those out a little bit. That's one of the reasons why we're a little bit late. So apologies for that. We also have Caleb here.
Hey guys.
We have Dawn. Or we don't have Dawn.
Dawn has fallen asleep again.
Oh, there's Dawn. So the Dawn rule applies. We have Dirk here as well.
Dawn rule does not apply.
We have S. Which is Sothrasil, except he's trying to lay low right now. And we have me, which is who is T. We don't know. This is one of these weird things, and it's one of those things that I think has kind of like not quite been ironed out in the transition phase in all the sort of ridiculous tomfoolery with regards to Discord's names and stuff like that. But like, I don't know what's going on. It might have something to do with like streamer mode. I'm gonna like. I think it's to do with streamer mode. I don't know. I've turned streamer mode off. It's not changing it or updating it in any way, shape, or form. So like, I don't know. I'm completely confused.
Did everyone secure their name?
Since we Since we have the Dawn rule in effect, right?
Yes.
We did not. You guys missed it. Oh.
Well. Come on, Dawn. Go to settings on Discord. Go all the way down to streamer mode.
What's this? What do we do?
You go into the settings of Discord. Mac.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you go to streamer mode.
Why do we need this?
I don't know. I'm following whatever the hell.
Just do it. You go to streamer mode and then hide personal information. You turn that off.
All right.
And this does what for the stream?
Okay, I get my name back, but I don't get your name back. So
Discord. They can figure out how to change everyone's name so it doesn't have numbers anymore, but they can't figure out how to make a streamer mode that isn't garbage.
Exactly.
I'm just going to point out that the pull into the actual live stream is showing everyone's name just fine, so I don't think we have an issue.
No. Everyone's name except for Sothrasil's.
Yeah. No, it's pulling Soth's name just fine too.
It's playing. Oh fuck! What the fuck? Okay, that's weird. Because in Discord right now, if I'm looking at Discord right now, it literally just says S ... Like,
yeah,
but if it's pulling
probably didn't update.
All right. Well, I mean,
but it's working, so whatever.
I'm gonna enjoy a lovely bit of water today.
Water.
I don't know about you, but
water. It's water.
Yeah.
You spelled it wrong. Where's the T from?
What the water?
There should be an apostrophe in that.
I just
that's true.
I just want to point out to you guys, if those viewers who are from New Jersey will pronounce it properly for you, it's a water.
Water.
I mean,
there's a D in that. Yeah, you guys put a D in it.
Water. There's no D. That's just.
It's not exactly that clear, though. This particular water is not exactly that clear. I think it came from a river or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you get that from one of our rivers around here? Because
that's New York. That's New York water from the Hudson. Okay.
If you got that from the local river, Mac, I would advise you not to drink it.
I mean, it tastes all right. Like, to be fair,
because I'm pretty sure you already had that inside you a few days ago.
I mean, does it taste refreshing?
It does. I mean, I wouldn't normally with water, but cheers.
Water.
I mean, cheers. Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
Are you gonna play with
My
this and
glass
pull
is
my
empty.
feed from Discord, or do you want me just to shut off my Discord feed?
I mean, if you want to, yeah, you can if you want to.
He has it up, so you just need to grab it.
Yeah, because Soth told me to.
So what Mac is
Tells a lot
alluding
of people
to
to do.
Yeah.
Well,
The
cool thing about what I can do is, like, if, say, for example, Eric, like, your camera isn't really working or playing well as such, you can literally just disappear off OBS Ninja, right?
Okay.
No, like close OBS. Close OBS Ninja, right? The actual thing.
Yeah, and once I find that stupid.
No, it's just the browser, like, 'cause you don't need to be in that.
You don't understand how many browser windows I have open.
Oh, okay.
See, this is what you get for trying to do this sober, Mac.
Yeah, clearly.
I'm not. Yeah, that's actually a good point. But then again, we can't like promote any kind of alcohol on this show, so
No, there's no need to promote it. I'm just pointing out that usually when you actually drink alcohol, there's no problems like this. I blame the water.
Oddly enough, you're probably right there. Oh, I need to increase the size of this stuff. There you go. I was wondering why it wasn't coming through right.
Yep.
See, technical difficulties day here at Push to Talk.
I mean, it's never not a proper push to talk unless there is some technical difficulties, right? So
this is very true.
Mm-hmm.
And now the chat is way off.
Yeah, no, I had to move it slightly so I could actually grab the lower kind of handle to actually crop it. That's why. That's the only reason.
This is all fine and dandy, guys.
You're seeing sort of the internal workings,
but
and to be fair, like
some of us are melting. So
yeah, exactly. And to be fair, I did actually ask, some of our management people who manage the various different settings for certain things to stop it just removing the chat for some reason, but this hasn't happened yet for some reason, and I don't know why. Like I made this request sometime earlier this week. I think it would be easy. It's just literally a check mark, right?
I don't know. Like,
unless
anyway, so
yeah, whatever.
Yeah, we have a show for you guys today. We're gonna probably rant a bit as we normally do.
We will. Yeah. There might be a few things to talk about.
We might rant a bit more than usual.
That's also a possibility today,
right? If we get gifted more fuck-ups, then there's more to rant about. That's how it works.
This is true.
No, we don't get more fuck-ups. We just get a bigger one this week.
Oh,
I think we have more numerically too.
But yeah, so before we get into that, the weather's great over here in the UK, but people are starting to melt. How are you dealing with it, Mac? Other than your water?
I'm enjoying my water. Yeah, my can of water. I'm dealing with it with a can of water and a massive fan that is literally that direction, literally blowing like that.
Well, it's a fact that the Brits suffers from 3 shocks when it comes to weather stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Every single time leaves starts falling, they get massively shocked. Every time the actual temperature goes beyond like 22 degrees centigrade, they get massively shocked. Like, what the fuck is this? We're not in the right island anymore. And the last one is every time there's snow. It's like they get confused and surprised at these 3 things every year.
Really, the only weather they are used to is fog or rain.
Yep.
Yes, that is an accurate statement, and that is exactly the reason why I bought an AC unit that was delivered earlier today.
Hey!
As you can see, my AC unit is also working in the background.
Yep.
It's called a window.
No, I have my window well open, but no, it's not good enough. So AC unit it is. It's time.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's a door, but you know.
It's got glass in it. It's fine. You can call it a window.
Yeah.
I do have something.
It's just a very big window.
I do have something else, by the way, to help me cool down today. And it's something that, like, well, to be fair, I'm in a bit of a celebration mode due to, like, you know, stuff that happened yesterday, some degree.
Yes,
you know what I mean. But we're not going to talk. But we're not talking about that today because that stuff like happens in conversations that are private. And,
yes,
you know,
we're starting to see a shift here in the UK that if you've watched headlines, you may see. You may know about
shift to sanity, a shift towards sanity. And so I can't exactly, you know, say that this is water as such, but, you know, Twitch terms of service stipulates that I refer to this as mature content. So it's labeled specifically to work within the Twitch's terms of service that they say that all alcohol should be mature content. Should be labeled mature content.
Water in Russian, right?
What?
Vodka is water in Russian.
I mean, I don't know. You probably.
It's Ulka.
No, that's why they call it vodka. Is because
well, I mean, V's and
Ulka,
W's.
Pasiba, Ulka. Thank you for the water. Thank you for the vodka, which is water, really.
So I'm going to enjoy some mature content a little later on.
Too much information.
That might get clipped and out of context.
Yep.
I mean, that's a soft statement right there.
That is now a sound clip. We will be reusing that later. We will send it to Bartghost and he will put it on the soundboard.
Yeah, I was just going to say, where's Bard with his soundboard when we need him?
Thanks for that. Oh, wait, I just realised.
All right, Eve time.
Not quite Eve time. We've still got like 5 minutes of the dawn rule.
There we go.
Dude, I leave in like a half an hour. Just start talking about Eve. It's not my fault. You guys were late.
It's not our fault either. So, you know.
I mean, sort of.
Without rules, Dawn, we descend into chaos.
Madness this week.
I hate to point it out to you, but your country already has descended into chaos.
Which is why I cling to the rules I have left.
You've been frozen since 2016?
No, unfortunately. Give me 2016 back, please.
Yeah,
it was saner then. Those times were not good, but they weren't bad.
Sorry, I have a background keying issue that I just need to sort out. But carry on.
There's a ease over 2016 in my mind at this point. A golden haze of just, please give us it back.
That'll do.
Golden haze? I thought that was what they had in New York right now.
Oh, Jesus.
No, see, that's an amber haze. That's different. I suppose before we get into the Eve content, we should just
Bye, Dirk.
remind everybody that revenue this month. Lol.
Sorry, what was that, Dirk?
Okay, so am I back?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I did see a massive ping spike there, so you know. Okay.
We did hear a massive ping spike there.
But yeah, before we get into the Eve content, it's probably a good point to remind people that for the month of June, we are donating half of INN's revenue to the Trevor Project, which is a charity that helps LGBTQ individuals with coming to terms with their own self and helps them understand why sometimes in society people are utter dicks.
Yeah.
It's a charity that absolutely saves lives, and it's a really good cause that we are glad to be supporting during this month.
Yep, definitely. And I'm glad, Dirk, that you're taking the reins on that particular sort of talking point, because I was royally screwing those up last week. Like no word, no like, and I wasn't. It wasn't like I was like sidling up to it, like with the expectation to like just fuck it up. Like I kind of thought that I had like the sort of script in my head to go, and then it just like disappeared out of my head. And like, yeah, I just fumbled over it like crazy, and you were there, thankfully, last week to sort of pick up. But yeah, I'm glad that you're here and promoting it. So that's cool.
So what is happening in Eve, Dirk? You must have an entire sheet of notes.
No, whoa! Because Dawn is pushing us towards the Eve content, so let's start this. Considering Dawn only has like 25 minutes left with us, Dawn, what this week would you like to talk about in terms of Eve content before Soth and I get on our soapboxes?
They announced all the corp stuff. Has that gone live?
All of the corp stuff. Which corp stuff?
The corp stuff, like they've mentioned the corp stuff, yeah, but it's not.
Like,
can I also ask?
We haven't had the Viridian update expansion, so as far as I know, no, it hasn't gone live. Like,
okay,
are we talking about corp stuff or corp stuff?
That is not entirely correct, there, Mac.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Really?
All right. Just
yeah.
The Viridian update wasn't supposed to go live.
Oh, okay.
But we get to that later. So.
Okay.
Well, no. In fairness, it is supposed to go live on the 13th.
Right.
It will go live on the 13th at downtime. That's going to be the Viridian expansion. I'm not sure the amount of content that they've announced is going to be released is worthy of the name expansion, but they're calling it an expansion, so there we go.
So my prediction is that the corpse or corporation goal things they can set are going to be a horrible interface and not work correctly for at least 6 months.
The corporation goal stuff.
Projects.
Yeah.
Projects.
This is the corporation's enhanced
the projects
stuff.
and the project functionality is poor.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So what's
showing?
Yeah, I'm just showing.
Are you showing the patch notes there? Or?
No, I'm just showing the corporation's enhanced news article on the Online's website at the moment.
Right. Okay.
I like the idea. I think it's a good idea. I think that they just aren't going to set it up correctly to be user-friendly and functional.
CCP in a single
CCP
sentence.
Feature. A really good idea. Horrible implementation. That's literally their USP. They bring out something where everyone is just clapping their hands because the prospects just sound amazing, and then they deliver something and it's like, this is like if I ordered it from Wish. Come on.
So I would say that to some degree, corporation projects is like doing so in terms of the stuff that they're implementing, right? We have corporation projects that they're implementing, which is a way of tracking progress in some way.
No, so basically the corporation can be like, hey, we need 10 million pyrite. So we will create basically a buyback program where you turn in pyrite and you may get a certain reward for however much you put in, like an ore buyback. And then you can see how far you're progressing, and everyone, like the corp, can see who donated how much to the projects. There's one for like ratting, and there's a couple. Too.
Yes, so there is a dealing damage to other capsuleers one. There is a killing NPCs one, which is, as Dawn said, a ratting kind of based one. There's a mining based one, and there's a deliver item based one, which essentially, if it's not specifically based around mining,
give us PI for the keep star.
Yeah, give us PI for a keep star. Give us, stock us up on I don't know, Megathrons for the upcoming war or defense or whatever. Like, that's these sorts of things, right? I kind of feel like a lot of corporations have been doing this with a mixture of API calls to alt accounts that are used as basically a sort of a Dropbox essentially for people to sort of contract things to, and then those contracts being something that the API calls can pick up and be used in third-party programs or in sort of like spreadsheets to be able to figure out who's been contributing more or less and that kind of stuff, right? So people have been doing this sort of stuff. It's just
this
not
sounds
in
like
the
a
Eve
wonderful way to
right?
this sounds like a wonderful way to measure individual performance metrics and decide who you kick from your corporation based on how much they do for your wonderful new opportunity or project, right? We've done 6 months. We've done 6 months of projects, like a project a week for the last 6 months, and you haven't contributed to any of them. Get the fuck out. How's that good for communities?
I like that there's a manual one which is like without any contribution method.
Yeah, because you want to show and communicate how well your corporation is doing. Like you can't do that with a ping on Discord or a fireside chat or any of the other hundreds of methods. We obviously need a way in game to tell people that we're doing all right as a group.
Am I the only one that feels that this is coded for like some guild project thing in a traditional MMO? It does not look very Eve. It looks really like a guild feature in World of Warcraft or something. It's like, what even is this?
I kind of think that like it's sort of to bridge the gap between the people who have no idea how to do what we were talking about with API calls and spreadsheets and all that kind of shit. Like I think it's more to bridge the gap between people who have that, do that, and people who have no idea how to do that but kind of want to do group activities and be able to show progress in some way, shape, or form. That isn't that isn't essentially doing a sort of like having a one-to-one conversation or having like a corporation meeting every week or whatever, right?
But a feature like this in Eve should have full API implementation from the get-go, otherwise it feels weird.
Well,
you're expecting them to add to the current state of ESI, which is forked as fuck, just with what they historically had. ESI is in maintenance mode. They're throwing new features at us, but ESI is in maintenance mode, and it's never going to get better.
But this is back to how I feel like the CCP developers don't really know and understand their own game. Do they understand how big groups and organizations are in EVE and why these things need to be organized like real-life corporations? It's because of the scale of things. Something like API functionality is just vital to make things operational. It's like, otherwise, why would we need it? Then you would just do it outside of the client.
Yeah,
you should probably hold that talk at Reddit.
Why
would I go to Reddit, Soft? Do you think I'm that suicidal?
Excuse us while we now have to pay for EVE Online ESI access. Oh God, no! I spoke it into the world. Fuck. No shit!
Don't do that.
Let me take it back. I take it back.
Take it back. I thought we had a rule. We're not supposed to give CCP too many ideas, at least not the good ones.
I didn't say it. That's not a good idea. I didn't say it.
Definitely not a good idea.
The issue is it's not a good idea, so they're gonna listen to it.
I'm tattletelling on you with horrendous.
You know back in the day there used to be like a thread on the forums that was the bad ideas thread, right, where you literally put in ideas that you knew were terrible, and it's a little bit sobering going through that and realizing that there are some in there that have been implemented.
Yes, exactly. It definitely is.
Like unironically have been implemented.
But yeah, I mean, that's CCP in a nutshell. Sorry, John.
Continue. What was the other thing that was? Oh, all the Marauder changes. It just makes me laugh maniacally. Because they didn't touch the Golem at all that I'm aware of. And
the Marauder. How do you know about the Marauder changes, Dawn?
Because I
was patch notes. Soft.
I read good like.
Were there? They
did patch notes ahead of time for once.
Yeah, because they were kind of forced to.
Yeah. You can thank the tournament community for them having actual patch notes ahead of release.
So I assume this means that the Golden Fleet is dead and won't be used anymore.
So are we specifically talking about this, the Viridian expansion mode?
Yes.
I see.
Yes, so CCP managed to accidentally release the Viridian expansion to the Thunderdome tournament zone.
Well, we got to be fair here. It is not necessarily the Viridian expansion. It is one build that they had on the on development, right? So it might be a broken build. It might not be finished. The changes we saw on there might not be in Viridian.
Yeah, the build that you got in on Thunderdome specifically, but the expansion notes doesn't say anything about this. Is just notes for regarding the Viridian build that's on Thunderdome.
These are the patch notes.
The full patch notes.
Viridian.
So we got to give credit to CCP here that they fucked up Thunderdome. Everyone saw what is in Viridian, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone that has access to Thunderdome, and then they released the patch notes as equal opportunity, right?
Yeah.
For those people who do not have access,
should give them props about that. They did do a whoops, but then they instead of redacting all of it, they decided, you know what, we'll just throw out patch notes and people either like it or not like it. So at least there's that, right?
It's that bit where some players have seen what we're going to push, so we need to tell everybody about this. There was a Reddit post about the Marauder changes, in the sense that the Marauders are generally getting kind of I wouldn't say nerfed, but they are seeing changes.
Yeah. It's definitely a no.
It's one of those bits where some of them are gonna be semi-reasonable still, and some of them are definitely getting enough. The fact that the only change to the Paladin is reduced optimal range per level bonus from 7.5% to 5%. The Paladin's getting a raw nerf. But the Varga is seeing a change that is, kind of reasonable. It loses a high slot in exchange for a low slot, which means it's going to be better at armor tanking. It's increasing its armor HP as well. Again, slightly better at armor tanking. The 7.5% bonus to shield booster was changed to a 5% bonus to shield booster and armor repair amount. They're trying to, again...
Oh, they reduced the amount, though, didn't they?
It went from a 7.5% to shield booster to 5% to shield booster and armor repair.
Yeah.
So they added in the armor repair. They reduced the overall amount. It's, not... It's not a bad change for the Varga, I don't think. The Kronos sees an additional mid-slot losing a high slot. So it goes from 8 to 7. And also the Varga goes from 8 to 7 high slots, which means that there are now two Marauders that have 8 high slots and 2 Marauders that have 7 high slots.
I'm trying to find it. Oh yeah, there we go.
Deal.
That's kind of
further down still.
Yep. I'm on my way.
It is kind of weird.
Yeah. Right.
The Kronos sees that slot change. It sees an increase in armor HP and a decrease in structure HP, which basically makes the Kronos even less useful for tournaments. But I mean, why did Eve play? I don't know. Like, it was it ever really a structure tanking ship? So the increased armor tank might actually be kind of useful. The Bastion module is something that sees possibly the biggest changes, which is a duration increase. Like, way back in the day, the Bastion module was 60 seconds. They dropped the Bastion module cycle time down to 30 seconds to try and get it used more.
Yeah.
That evidently hasn't worked, so they're sending it back to 60 seconds. And they're also removing those E-War bonuses. And the E-War bonuses
because now a nullsec group is actually using them as a doctrine fleet. You know, they clearly have gone like, okay, well now this is in the meta. We can change and nerf it. So and those groups will carry on using it, right?
Oh, for sure. They won't carry on using it.
They won't drop it for any explicable reason, right? Like, say, for example, you know, a version of the old school fuck you fleet basically being able to completely, you know, neutralize a fleet that costs a ludicrous amount of money.
Yeah, these fleets that exist won't be dropped like a hot potato.
I mean,
ever.
So the thing is, right? The thing with sensor dampening is a always, like it always works, right? You know, if you want to sensor dampener someone down to, you know, if you to like a half or a third of their locking range, right? That will happen. That will happen. Well, I mean, they're just very conservative numbers, right?
Those are conservative numbers, yes.
Numbers, right? Like if you're using more than one or two on a hole that's bonus to it, you're going to get much better results with that, right? But just very conservative numbers. If you want to reduce a ship's locking range down by 50% at least, you know, that will happen with sensor dampeners, with scripted sensor dampeners, 100% of the time. It's not a chance-based thing like E-War, for example, right? So
I mean, just last weekend, I was flying an Abaddon that got 3 sensor dampeners from a Carries and a Maulus, and suddenly my lock range was 13 kilometers.
Exactly. And it's
now this is going to happen in your, you know, $1.5 billion, $2 billion-esque ship.
And honest to God, like the Maulus is, I have so much love for that ship because of how cheap it is, but how effective it can be in the battlefield. Because like the other thing is, you kind of think like, oh well, what can one single E-War ship do, right? Or one single E-War ship, right? The thing is, with something like a Carriers, especially if you're running it in an armor fleet, you have a lot of mids, and you stack them with as many sensor dampeners as you can. You could really put the hurt. You can really kind of mess up a logistics chain, and a logistics group,
chain.
like because the thing is, you don't need to consistently dampen like a ship, right? If you're looking,
you just need to damp them enough to break the locks.
Exactly, and so you can literally a single Carries, for example, with a sensor dampener, a sensor booster, and 3 sensor dampeners, and a I think. Hang on, does it have 5 or does it have 4?
The Carries has 5.
5, yeah, that works. So you know, if you're running
like
something with an armor fleet, right? You've got
3 mids for sensor dampeners.
You've got
easy.
You've got your prop mod. You've got your sensor booster, right? For quick lock or for extended lock range, right? Which is especially important when you're trying to screw with logistics, because logistics specifically set themselves further away from the main than they are from, you know, compared to the fleet that you're fighting, right? But if you have 3 sensor dampeners, you literally have like lock range dampening, scripted lock range dampening on there, and all you do, like to be the absolute most pain in the ass person for that logistics group. It's to literally go like one by one with like it works especially if you have an overview that has just logistics, just hostile logistics, right? And you just go from A to Z, like just lock one, apply all three, and then go lock the next one, apply those three straight away, just like a single cycle each time, right? And you just go through them.
Turn auto cycle off, right?
Yeah.
Turn
three scripted damps is like an 80%, maybe like an 85% reduction.
And I've done this. Yeah, and I've done this to PL, right? I've done this in fleets to PL as well before, right? Where like you lock the target that everyone's primarying to see how the hostile logistics are doing with keeping the rep up, right? And it is so like, it feels so good when you're watching, a hostile, a hostile that your fleet is primarying, right? Getting reps, and then just seeing those reps just disappear, just fall to pieces, because you're just going through logistics ships and just breaking their locks one by one by one by one. It's just so satisfying. You have no idea. And from a ship that costs fuck all. Like, how much is a carries? In all honesty, nothing.
A carries is like 40 million fully fit.
Yeah,
it's literally pocket change. But yeah, so the final change that we're seeing to Marauders is a change to kind of punish the wormholers. I'm actually just going to phrase it that way. It's a change to punish the wormholers.
Oh, which one? Oh, the mass change. Oh, mass change.
The mass change.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Which is like overall for
they got thick.
For these ships, it's like a 30 to 35% mass increase overall.
Some of it's almost like double. So the Paladin went from
that is
160. It's almost 100%.
No, most of these are between 50 to 100%. Like, but easily 50. Like most of them are 50%, if not more. Like, because these numbers, the starting numbers are literally the end state, right? So, say for example, Varga 150, right? 150 million kgs.
That's increased from
that includes
90 million or something.
Yeah, that includes the 53.48 million increase, right? Or 53.48.
Yeah. So this is a
plus 50, if not more.
Right, so Mitzelin in Twitch chat is saying, no, they increase the other stats so it stays the same. No. Mass changes are critical to wormholers. Like, just outright. Yes, they've changed the agilities to keep the align times going.
Yeah.
But try and jump the same amount of marauders through a wormhole after this patch as you could before the patch, and the hole is going to close in front of your eyes.
Because, mass changes are critical.
They do make those wormholes go critical, yes. So yeah, the Marauder changes, those mass changes are specifically targeting wormholers, and once again,
So you could say that these were very targeted to wormholes and wormholers, rather than wormholers.
That's a change for sure.
Rather than wormholers just being collateral damage.
Yes, they are once again targeted rather than collateral damage, and you can see it in the text that they added. Right, Marauders are particularly dominant in wormholes due to their high power to mass ratio, or high power to mass efficiency.
Yeah,
they're increasing the mass to be closer to Black Ops battleships. This will mean that players will need to be slightly more cautious about the number of Marauders they can bring to a fight in J space. They are telling you outright that you are no longer collateral damage. No, you are the target.
I just wanted to get the collateral
nullsec is nullsec is the collateral damage now, because there's something else that gets calculated with mass, and that's jump cost.
Jump cost and jump fuel cost, especially is it shit? What is it in the fuels? jumping through Titans. It's ozone or no?
Ozone. It's ozone.
Ozone.
It's ozone
In
on
both.
Titans. It's ozone on jump bridges. It's
No.
ozone. Yeah.
No,
I thought I was.
it's not.
It's not ozone.
You use your Titan's fuel for bridging.
Oh.
Opening up the bridge is Strond, and
then
the ship going through takes the fuel,
right,
the regular Titan fuel.
Regular.
It's apparently been too long since I Titan jumped anything, Titan bridged anything.
Yep.
I haven't ever had a Titan, so I've never had to worry about it. But I know that it's been like so bridging. Say for example, bridging large 200 plus fleets of these things around is going to get much more expensive because of the plus 50 or more than 50% increase in mass for each of them.
Yep, those fuel contracts, guys, get them in.
Yikes!
And of course, in it now,
ice.
you're gonna be dealing with fuel contracts on your own.
It's all right because we have a fuel cartel, so it's fine. I don't know if you've ever noticed this on our stations.
The init fuel cartel is real. This is true.
Yes, it is. Very
but yeah, Hi Brand in Twitch chat says Marauders now reduced to glorified rollers.
Don't mind me. I'm
not
just
reduced
enjoying.
To, but they are going to be glorified rollers.
Yes. They could very well be.
I know that you've kind of rolled away from the patch notes because there is something else in the patch notes that I want to talk about real quick, which is changes to the Roke and the Maelstrom.
Oh no, not the Maelstrom.
Soth. I don't know if you've looked at these, but are we getting Alpha Fleet back? Is it time?
I didn't see the changes, but I mean, how many FCs do we have left that actually know how to run Alpha Fleet?
I know.
About 4, and they're all retired.
I know the quintessential reason why Alpha Fleet was a thing. I know a quintessential reason why Alpha Fleet.
2 of them are here. Fuck you.
So Alpha Fleet was formed.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Alpha Fleet was formed, and Alpha Fleet as a doctrine was put together because you had to find a more consistent way of being able to get rid of hostile mainline ships in an extremely laggy situation, right? And one of those what was found to be the most predominant, most successful, and most consistently capable way of doing that was alpha strikes, right? Which is essentially using a ship with high alpha guns, en masse to hit a single target and deny basically one shot a ship out of existence.
One gun cycle. One gun cycle only.
Yes.
There is another part to that though. Back in the day when we did use Alpha Fleet, our fleets were a lot smaller than they are today. Like we didn't have 1,000 pilots on grid, right? Yeah. We had maybe 1 full fleet and that was it. So you needed that extra oomph to actually take down hostile battleships.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, the Roke and Maelstrom both getting buffs basically. Yeah. I mean, not great buffs on the base of the Maelstrom.
I mean, the
Roke's.
The Roke getting a mid slot to a low slot basically means that it's more tanky. The capabilities.
It can be more tanky. It could also be used for a sensor booster to increase lock range or lock speed. That mid slot is a lot of additional flexibility on a Roke.
The drone bay increase means that you can potentially break away from the. Okay, sorry. Yeah.
Bye, Don.
The bandwidth means that you can potentially be able to get away from the thermal and kinetic lock that you get typically on the Roke.
You're not going to break away too far.
Not too far, but you can use sentry drones. You can use 3 sentry drones with the increase to 75 on the bandwidth.
The increase to 75 means that you can do different tactics with your drones. Like historically, you would do medium drones.
Yeah.
With the Rogue.
Yeah.
Now you're going to be able to do 2 heavies, 2 mediums, and a light, and all within that 75 bandwidth. But the key thing on the drone front is that drone bay increase, which means that not only have you got 1 flight of your two heavies, 2 mediums, and a light, but you get a couple of extra flights of other drones, right? If you want to have a flight of EC-300s, you can just throw them in the drone bay and have them as a tool you can throw at it. It's more flexibility.
Yeah.
And then the increase in CPU is like kind of minor, but it helps out, I guess.
So I'm not entirely certain whether you noticed this, and I don't know whether this is just a thing that's kind of like been part and parcel with just drones and people not really caring too much, but like knowing what it was meant to be. I don't know. I'd need to actually go into game and actually check. But is drone bandwidth based on meters cubed?
Not always. It's not. It's not necessarily measured it. That is a weird thing.
It does make sense. It does make sense that if you can deploy bigger drones, that you have space for bigger drones, right?
Yeah, no, that is true. Yeah.
But there are ships that break away from that a bit.
I mean, I think everybody who plays EVE understands what they mean by that. The drone bandwidth.
But it should really be in megahertz or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But we all know, we all know that from 50 or essentially increase the drone bandwidth from up to 5 drones of 10, that are 10 cubic meters of size to the equivalent, for 75 cubic meters, right? Like that's. I saw it and I was like, well, that's a very strange metric for drone bandwidth. Like,
GB makes a.
That's what you mean. I misunderstood you though.
GB makes a good point in Twitch chat. Drone bandwidth is based on drone size because that was a fix to an exploit. Because ships with 25 meters cubed of drone bay used to be able to scoop a heavy drone, launch it, scoop another heavy drone, launch it, and run 5 heavy drones with 25 meters cubed of drone bay. So that was like an exploit fix.
Another thing that I used to love about the Maulers.
Those pesky EVE players ruining EVE by abusing everything.
Yeah.
Look, if they didn't make it so abusable, we wouldn't do it. So the other thing, Maelstrom getting some real quick changes. They're trying to boost the active tank a little bit. They're trying to boost the speed, and it locks things faster. So, such is life.
The max velocity might be an interesting one. Like it's an okay kind of increase in base speed. I don't think the shield boost bonus is really going to help too much. Like I think it may have been an increase too.
But like the Maelstrom,
I don't see the active tank of a Maelstrom being used much. But like then again, I'm not.
Look, an XLSP Maelstrom is already insane.
Pretty powerful.
Okay.
Yeah, and a lot of fun actually. Just put ACs on that thing, and then have a web ship with you, and you're gonna murder cruisers.
I have a feeling that is a tip of the hat to people who are, doing things in the Alliance tournament.
Yeah, no, not really. It's probably not going to make a huge change to the Alliance tournament situation. But
I wouldn't be too sure. Like, if you point it correctly, like if you make it a bit cheaper than like a Geddon, for example.
This year, at least, it's not making a huge change to the Alliance tournament.
This year, it's not going to change anything. No.
Okay.
This year, what might change things is
not being able to
CCP can
practice.
actually get their servers online, which is a nice segue.
I mean, I just wanted to go real quick over the large railgun changes, but we can segue into this now if you want. But basically, railguns are getting slightly better, and railguns on battleships, large railguns specifically, getting slightly better. They're still going to be shit.
So you saying that like
everyone's still going to be using blasters?
You saying that railgun rokes are actually going to be not only are they going to get a bigger tank, but they're also going to get better damage and application of damage.
They are getting a slightly higher DPS, and they are getting slightly higher application, and railguns are still going to be... Like, this might bring back Alpha Fleet a little bit because of the Maelstrom and the rope changes. The railgun changes are not having... They're not seeing anybody go from a blaster to a rail Hyperion. Or from a blaster to a rail Kronos. That's just not going to happen.
Okay.
So, yeah. Anyway, Soth, yes. CCP's fucking servers.
Wait a fucking second. 0-point mass entanglers can be used in high sec and low sec?
Rolling wormholes.
Oh, okay. Right, yeah, fair enough.
Like they say, there wasn't a particularly strong reason for disallowing it in the first place, and yet CCP did it. So, yeah, they've basically corrected an old dumb thing.
Yeah. The kind of thing that we'd hinted at when we were talking about what was it, wormholers being collateral damage, right? That was very much to do with the Higg module and the sort of like the changes to various
way
aspects
back in the day, a few years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, now wormholers can roll wormholes in high sec and low sec with the mass entanglers and be fine.
Nice. Cool. All right.
But, yeah.
All right.
So anyway, Soth, what's going on with the servers?
Well, as we alluded to already, CCP tried to patch Thunderdome, the tournament server, and accidentally picked the wrong build. And instead of putting the current build on Thunderdome, which is the normal behavior that they try to go for, they put a development build on it, and we don't know which one. From what we've been told from CCP, they don't know which one, because someone started posting pictures of Marauder changes, and they very quickly took the server down again. And since then, it hasn't come back online because they've run into issues rolling back the server. Thunderdome is known to be a bit bitchy about patches, and especially doesn't like going backwards in patches.
No.
It very much always wants to be the same build as TQ, because it uses the same life services.
All of the chat, all of the location search, everything is tied into the TQ. But, right, so this kind of needs a little bit of talk about the server architecture. With TQ, you have the monolith. But the monolith is no longer the monolith. The monolith is now broken out into the monolith, which runs the actual nodes for the systems. And then other kind of associated servers to run the other minor shit, like the chat service, like the location services. If you open...
You started with
like
this,
the market.
Yeah, you started with this sort of description by referring to the monolith in a very sort of mysterious way. I mean, it's kind of a mysterious name. Yeah, I know what you mean, but I think a lot of people may not know what the monolith is.
Yeah, the previously, right, so, okay, in terms of what the monolith is, historically,
monolith.
historically, everything ran on the same server nodes. It was all there. The market, the chat services, the location search, everything in EVE was on the same set of server nodes. And they've kind of spent the last 10 years or so breaking things out. So you've got like the market is still kind of run on the monolith, but kind of run in a cloud service. Chat services are all broken off into like an AWS instance server rather than being on the on-prem hardware. The situation with searching, so like when you open people and places and you search for a system or you search for a person, that was broken off into a separate server. And Thunderdome wants to mirror what is on what's left of the monolith, but it ties into the other cloud servers as well to use their same services, which is a cool system for what is effectively a test server, right? Thunderdome is effectively a test server, but it's a cool system. It means that they can use the same systems as Tranquility on Thunderdome. But it also means that Thunderdome really, like Soth says, wants to be in sync with Thunderdome, with Tranquility. It wants to be in sync with the main monolith server that everyone plays on.
Right.
Yep, it wants to be a boy group.
And they applied a change. They applied a patch, a specific build of Viridian. We don't know if it's the Viridian patch that's going to go live on Tuesday, but they applied a version of the Viridian patch. And it worked. And then they tried to revert the change that they'd made.
And that was when...
And everything broke.
Yeah, I was about to say, that was when shit hit the fan.
That was when the other shoe dropped, yes.
And on top of that, if I may quote CCP Swift here, everyone intelligent had already gone into their weekend.
God, yeah,
been like, I'm back.
Right. So this is this is one of those things that's just holy shit, really. The update that we got on Thunderdome yesterday, verbatim, in classic Thunderdome fashion, after it was brought back to the life, Thunderdome decided it wanted more.
Oh.
It took a few updates it wasn't supposed to, which led to us taking it down. We'll have an update later on the status of Thunderdome as we work to bring it back to normal and see exactly which updates it decided to grab in its sudden spring to life.
Right.
So, I hate to say this, but there's even more to this, because it wouldn't be a fuck-up without further fuck-ups. As you may know, tomorrow we were supposed to run the Alliance Tournament Opens on Thunderdome, which we cannot do now because the server isn't online, and it's not going to be brought back online before Monday earliest. So
you're down a week.
Well, not really, because
you can do the teams are down a week of practice.
Not really, because all the teams have plans, right? Teams plan their practices like weeks ahead of time. So they are already booked, right? So we can't run opens next week. We can't just be like, oh yeah, we're just going to push it back a week because everyone has already planned out their time.
We are way booked up, yeah.
And normally what we would do in a situation like this is we would make an arena on Sissy and run it there, right? Which is what I proposed to CCP, and I got the answer, well, yes, you should definitely go make an arena in case we can't get Thunderdome online. And then I found out that Sissy is down until at least Tuesday.
Why is Sissy down?
Why is CC down?
Yeah. By the way, Sissy is the short form name that we have for the Singularity test server.
So, I have it on good authority that Sissy is down because they are testing a new thing for the Partners program. So it's in VIP mode and not accessible to all players, only to people who are invited.
Jesus Christ.
Yep. The timing is impeccable.
Just
The timing really is just quite something, isn't it?
Chef's
And-
kiss, like
And because
just perfect.
CCP, as far as I know, doesn't manage Sissy themselves anymore, but their QA team, their out-of-house QA team does. They can't just go, oh, we just open it up for the weekend, right?
Yeah, CC is now considered to be a QA thing, which is a thing we ran into last tournament, where people were interrupting practices on CC because Thunderdome access wasn't opened up yet.
So the next time
Every time we reported it to the CC, like we were reporting these like huge, like practice breaking things where people were dropping carriers on our practices and just killing everything because they could have fun on CC. And we would report it to CCP and they would say, well, it needs to be reported to the QA team. And nothing would happen to these people who...
No, even worse. The answer from CCP was, well, Sissy isn't for tournament practices.
Well,
it's meant for testing.
No. See, right. That was later. That was what happened later, because we reported it to the community team who were running the tournament, and they said, we don't have jurisdiction over CC. You should go create a ticket and let the QA team deal with it. And then we created tickets, and people would come back saying, it's not a tournament server, so there's nothing really to be done about this.
Yeah, and let's not forget that these people were breaking the Sissy rules, right?
Yeah, they were. But CCB didn't want to do anything about it. And so now we're in this situation where we have this dedicated tournament server. CCP have done great work this year by making Thunderdome accessible to tournament players so much earlier. We've had access to Thunderdome since like April. It's been great.
As well as
but now they have a release coming up, and CC is broken, and Thunderdome is broken, and my god, really, CCP, get your fucking act together, please. Sorry, Mac, I just needed to get that out there.
But we can clearly see why this has happened, right? And I think we can infer some kind of appreciation for a single person at CCP from how this happened, right? Everything was going well and everything was working up until CCP Zealous had to go to the hospital. He's okay. You guys don't need to worry. I've heard he's fine. But he's in the hospital, so he can't work right now, and therefore he can't take care of Thunderdome, and all of a sudden everything goes to shit, right? So
I mean, that's a very good point, right?
Zealous, we really miss you, right? I know you're coming back in a few days
soon.
So yeah,
that's a very very good point, in the sense that historically, since tournaments have come back, there has been a member of the community team that has been kind of allocated, or I don't want to say allocated, but a chunk of their stated job description is to run tournaments and help tournaments work. We've worked with them. You and Isoth have worked with a number of CCPers over the years. But specifically, CCP Aurora, before she became a developer, she moved from the community team to the development team. And also now CCP Zealous. And we've worked directly with them, and everything has gone fine every fucking time. And now, the individual that we would normally be in contact with and talking with and would be managing these sorts of changes is gone for. Yeah, I think he's been gone for like a week and a half at this point. He's due to be back sometime middle of next week. And everything has gone to shit in the meantime. You know? Like,
not
how the fuck can CCP not have a backup here? How is there not, like...
I don't understand how there isn't a backup
the whole process here is just... Because, just to the point as well, we have the Alliance Tournament feeder round coming up in 2 weeks. 2 weeks today, exactly. There is no schedule for the Alliance Tournament feeders yet.
That's just...
There are something in the region of 40 to 45 teams, off the top of my head,
easily
involved in the feeder rounds. There are only 4 teams that are entering the Alliance Tournament that aren't involved in the feeder rounds. 4 teams that aren't involved. And we don't have a schedule yet.
So would you say, with regards to, 40 teams, right? Around about 40 teams, right? What kind of like active team size would you say that is? Like at least 10 people, at least on a team. And I'm not talking like usually like you have spare.
On average, you'd be talking on average in terms of active players. You'd be talking somewhere between 15 and 20 active players per team.
So we're talking...
Not everyone gets to fly in the fight, but like you'll have people around doing other tasks, you know, watching people over the shoulder on streams or whatever, listening to commentary and trying to see if we can get an advantage. There's 15 to 20 active people per team.
So we're talking between 600 to 800 people, like in just like a perpetual state of limbo as to what the fuck's going on.
Easily.
I mean...
And yet, CCP are here going, well, Zealous is off, so we don't know what the fuck's going on.
And just
not a good state to be in.
Just to put a point on it, it's not Zealous's job to figure out who he has to be able to deal with the stuff when he's like otherwise indisposed, right? Like that is more of a supervisor / sort of managerial kind of situation / kind of decision to
exactly right. We're not blaming Zealous at all.
Not at all.
What we are saying is that CCP done fucked up, and CCP done fucked up on a number of levels across this entire situation. And also Bluetooth V2. What's my character name in game? Dirkster Teal. You can find me in Goons. Yeah. I am I am a long-term member of the GSF Alliance Tournament team. I've been a diplomat.
I would like to
point out... I've got a bit of a history with Goons.
He has a little bit of a history.
Who are you?
Exactly, right?
I would like to say, though, like, and not wanting to sort of, like, segue this or like, tangent this conversation in any way, shape, or form, but, like, it was just... I thought about it, and I was like, actually, that fits, to be fair. Even though you're unlikely, Sothrasil, to become a CCPer as such. But, like, I think if you ever were to be a CCPer, I think your CCP dev handle should be CCP Silhouette.
Has the sun gone down? Do I need to...
He is slowly becoming darker and darker, yeah.
Yeah.
My main character in game is Jesus.
It doesn't do anything.
I
mean, like,
look,
you can look us up, but we've been...
Yeah, like, I'm not anything special in game in any way, shape, or form. I'm a line member, you know, in it.
And yet, we've still been around for a while at this point.
I mean, I was in, at one point, the Goon Swarm's, what the fuck is it? Like, higher level sort of sort of tactical kind of group. The fuck is it called now? Well, what was it called?
Recon?
I have no idea
No,
what you're
not
talking
Recon.
about. So
I did get into Recon at one point, and that was by me sort of figuring out and sorting out a way of being able to actually track where hostile bridges actually bridge to and stuff like that. So yeah, but Sky Marshals, right? The Sky Marshal group. Like I was at one point in Goon's Sky Marshal team because I was active scout coordinator for the coalition at one point. When that was way back when Blas McTaggart was Sky Marshal. By
the way. This is one of those things where we're like, is this where we establish our bona fides?
I don't know. Like, I don't know. It kind of feels
like we've been around the block a bit.
Yeah,
collectively on this show. Anyway,
I accidentally, I accidentally spilt my mature content. Sorry about that.
You're not gonna get me away from
spill your mature content over the way.
From continuing my rant though, because I am a bit pissed about how this situation was handled towards the community.
I'm very pissed
because the last message I got about this was yeah, you should probably get an arena on Sissy. That's the last thing I heard. There was no sorry how we handled this. There was no oh by the way Sissy is down, so sorry for that. Nothing, right? Communication was just yeah, see the official Discord server for what's going on. Right, nothing else. Even though like this is supposed to be a partnership. They call us partners, right? But I don't feel treated like a partner right now.
Well, the issue here, right, is that the partner program is a different thing to the relationship that we've had with CCP over the last few years, right? But the partner program is specifically for people who produce EVE content consistently, right? It's the blog writers, it's the third-party developers, it's the YouTubers, the Twitch streamers. There's never really been an official opening in the partner program for people like us, Soth, you and I, who, or you know, Jintan as well this year, who are running and trying to run additional content within the EVE space, right? Like, I've run our Twitch streams for the Angry Games for the last couple of years. I'm not an EVE Twitch streamer. And because I'm not a consistent EVE Twitch streamer, I don't fall into that bracket. And you don't fall into that bracket because you do a lot of the stuff behind the scenes, right? We have these great CCP contacts, but there's nothing within their formal kind of hierarchy for us and what we do, because we do it to a schedule, because it takes so much time and effort, and we can only do it once a year at most.
And
right?
I mean, that's kind of my complaint. Like, I feel like an afterthought, right? Even though they make big claims about how they're gonna support tournaments and shit. But in the end, like, I'm thankful for everything we're getting. I'm thankful for Zealous helping us out. I'm thankful for Swift being there, for Aurora.
You know,
But in the end, I don't feel appreciated
we're
by the company.
We're apparently not getting the same priority here as other people are, even though we're going out of our way to spend tens of hours, hundreds of hours. There weren't going to be. There weren't. This is kind of a thing that I want to express to our audience a little bit, and to the CCPers who will be watching this later on, because we know you do that. thanks, by the way. We do love the fact that you watch us, but in all seriousness, the opens weren't even going to happen, the open practice sessions for the Alliance tournament, where people could get some experience of being teleported, how just generally how the tournament situation works. We weren't even going to have that until Soth and Jin decided to step up and do it on their own. They said, hey, you know, we want to do this open practice thing because the open practices generally are good for a number of teams. And they got basically, yeah, this sounds great. You can absolutely go ahead. But there was no actual support to make it happen. There was no CCP saying, hey, open practice. Well, there was a little bit in Discord of CCP saying, hey, open practices are happening. But, like, there was no mention of it in any of the Alliance tournament blogs that went out. There's no, like, it's... We do this and we get a bunch of recognition from the CCPs that we work with, but we don't necessarily get a bunch of recognition within the situation that CCP has already set up. And so it's kind of like we have to talk to an individual who will make things work outside of the usual process rather than using the usual process. And that's not a good feeling to be in, especially when, hey, there was opens planned this week, and Thunderdome is suddenly fucked because you couldn't wind it back.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, like, there's a question I asked yesterday, which is, are we going to have the Viridian expansion on Thunderdome for the actual feeders in 2 weeks? And if we are, why the fuck did you even bother to try and roll it back?
Yeah.
Well, there is the thing that they didn't expect the server to pull the patch, right? So they don't exactly know what it all pulled and if it's actually stable.
Well, I mean, if they weren't expecting
seemed pretty stable until they pulled it down.
I mean, if they weren't
it was online for like
expecting
5 minutes,
so just to follow a logical kind of like part progression here, if they weren't expecting it to pull the actual patch, then clearly they weren't expecting the patch to actually be applied, which means that logically speaking, they weren't expecting the tournament to go to be using the Viridian patch kind of changes, right? Because otherwise this would have been an expected outcome of the Viridian patch being applied to Thunderdome.
Yeah.
And you guys being able to adopt the changes into the game, into the sort of like the various different sort of the various different the various different like setups that you guys have and stuff like that, and whether it changes or doesn't change situations or opens up various different other ideas or not to being viable or not in, you know, in whichever setups people want to use against other setups, right? Like,
I mean,
so them freaking out and going, holy shit, we need to kind of remove this, not just down to the fact that, like, you know, people started leaking things that, you know, were in the Viridian patch but weren't actually, you know, public at that particular point in time. Clearly means that, like, something happened that they weren't expecting, and clearly that was the Viridian patch actually being applied to Thunderdome. So, like,
well,
yeah.
I mean, a lot of this comes back to, you know, Thunderdome is technically a test server.
Yeah.
But the fact that they can manage to completely break it by trying to revert, and, you know, CC is down until next week. And yet, because they managed to release it on Thunderdome and people actually had access to some of the changes on the patch, means that they decided to drop patch notes before the patch rather than afterwards, which is just generally, CCP, by the way, a good fucking practice when you're making code changes.
Yeah, and so
Like,
so that's the other curveball as
we,
well.
We pushed them into good practice accidentally because they managed to fuck up, but they also fucked up so hard that they broke players' various interaction over this weekend.
And that's the weird.
God!
So that's the weirdest thing, Dirk. Is like they came out with the patch notes, right? Which means that like now everybody knows what's going to be included in the patch and how things are changing and stuff like that. Which means that like the removal of the patch on Thunderdome was pointless, right?
And not necessarily. We don't know if the patch notes are complete.
Guess maybe, but it makes makes a bit of logical sense that you should include in the patch notes all the changes to that is included in the patch. I mean, wanting to be a stickler.
I don't know someone at CCP with the name Logical Sense.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, if you do, then please enlighten me. But
CCP Common Sense is not in the room.
Hi at Brandon Twitch chat saying that we're still getting better treatment than ESI devs. No, at this point we're not. But
yeah.
That's because the ESI project has actually started to pick up again in the last month or so.
So regarding
historically,
ESI,
you'd be correct.
Regarding ESI, what would you prefer? To know that nothing is changing and be, even though you hope and wish that things should change, and that you would like to pitch things as to how things should change, or having things change but then being rescinded, but then things breaking, and then not getting any kind of conversation or any kind of any kind of communication whatsoever as to what the fuck's going on, and being completely in the dark as to whether things are going to stay the same, stay as it is, be reverted to something that was previously, or somehow being moved to something that's better or worse. I don't know. I kind of feel like the latter is worse than just not having anything happen. Do you know what I mean? It's like the certainty of absolutely nothing happening, or just the absolute chaos of complete random shit.
When I say that we're not getting treated any better, I say it in the sense that at the end of the day, CCP are just being shit. Yes, we're getting treated better in the sense that we're being told CCP are being shit directly. That's better than what the ESI devs get. But on the flip side, this is CCP being shit about an event that they have announced that they are running.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That they can't even decide to, support properly.
It's not them supporting a community project. It's them actually having come on, just support the stuff that you have organized, or you are supposedly meant to be organizing, and you are supposedly meant to be putting on, right?
Yeah. With the topic of ESI stuff, though, yes, there's a fair point that the market history endpoint down was the market history endpoint was down for so long that it was are we ever actually going to get it back? It was down for 3 months.
Yeah, and
that was a decision that CCP made, right? CCP decided to take the market endpoint down. I will say though, on the ESI topic, the corp history endpoint will be back up as of next week with similar rate limiting to the market history. So, yeah.
Okay.
ESI is still getting some work. Or, not is still, but is once again getting some work. Which is more than we can say for Thunderdome this weekend.
True. Actually, to be fair, looking at the time, I didn't expect that like we'd be getting through so much time on just these topics and just Eve topics, really. If anything, like holy crap.
Turns out when CCP done fucked up.
Turns out ranting is like something that we do well.
It's in our nature.
Yeah, exactly.
CCP done fucked up. We're gonna use some time on the fact that CCP done fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. This is what we mean when we say don't get us started, because this is what happens.
Yeah, no, that's not even a joke. Yeah, we get started and we don't necessarily stop until we are all ranted out, and we're still not all ranted out.
Nope. We're trying very hard to stay positive, right?
I mean, to be fair, I have a lot of things to be positive about this week, but unfortunately, none of them really have to do too much with.
Capable of being talked about on Twitch.
Good.
Yes,
all good. Although I would say that, like,
very happy about the state of things in the UK currently, but we can't talk about it on Twitch.
And so if anybody's wondering what what's the deal with the show's title today, it's very much to do with Twitch and to do with their kind of fickle, but also like I don't know, how would you describe their sort of like their activity with regards to the terms of service?
I would say they did a CCP.
Kind of did a CCP. They definitely did an upper management CCP kind of like moment where they were like, yes, we shall release a whole bunch of changes to stuff that are completely
there's no way that our streamers that we rely on to have this platform actually work are going to rage over us basically telling them, no, you can't make any money on this platform.
You can't subsidize the money that we take 50% of by doing other things, or if you do want to potentially do it, you're gonna have to sort of marginalize it to such a point where essentially, people who are giving money to sponsor stuff are basically going to look at it and go like, fucking pointless. It's absolutely fucking pointless.
How very dare you have
exactly
an additional income stream?
How very dare me to sort of drink mature content on stream, right?
Well, I mean, if you're gonna drink mature content, then that's a different matter. But
when you say
just talk about your Twitch woes on.
I have something very different in mind.
I know you have something very different in mind. Yeah,
I know exactly what you have in mind, and I know exactly what Caleb has in mind. But yeah, Highbrand, just talk about your Twitch woes on Reddit. But
I'm just gonna say, if
you can't talk about it on Reddit because Reddit's also doing stupid shit.
Yeah. And Soth, I have to say, if what you have in mind is bubbly, then there's something wrong.
Definitely, yes.
See your doctor if the something Soth has in mind is bubbly.
Oh God.
Ranchellian is telling us that we haven't talked about Lancer Dreadnoughts yet today.
What's that? I mean,
that's true. We have.
Oh yeah. Like I was going to say, what's
we haven't talked about Lancer Dreadnoughts, but we did spend an entire show on it 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. But there has been some updates. There has been.
I also want to point out that there's going to be a meta show today, and they're going to talk about all of these things. So we don't have to.
Yeah, that's a bit more than an hour away, but you should tune in for sure.
Very, very, very good point.
Because, like, in the end, we're just going to rant about it, right?
Yeah.
They are a silly T2 ship edition that CCP are making because, people have been crying out for T2 capital ships for years.
Again, it's a good idea. It's a horrible implementation.
So one of the things that, like, one of the pieces of new information that we got, right, with regards to the Lancer Dreads, because we did talk about it, and there was a lot of information that about the Lancer Dreads that was released by CCP. It's just the one thing that we got kind of fairly new, this week. It is essentially kind of some of the at least proposed T2 material requirements to build them, right? And just going off some Eve Praisal sort of like figures, which I completely understand is not entirely accurate, right, for what they may end up basically be built for in terms of costs and stuff like that. You're looking at a potential build cost of 10 to 15 billion per dread, per T2 dread. Now
that's a lot.
That's a lot. That is a lot, and that definitely stops people in their tracks in terms of like going, yes, I'm definitely going to take the dreads that I have and turn them into T2 dreads, right? Because you kind of go like, oh shit, that actually costs a fair amount.
10 to 15 billion, just to give context, is more than a jump freighter costs.
Yeah. To be fair, jump freighters are literally the only other T2 capital ship in the game. So,
well, I know, but
in
jump
a
freighters,
sense, in a sense, they were the yardstick to measure it by. But jump freighters, I mean, you know, they have
jump
a very
freighters have a lot more useful capacity.
Yeah.
Overall, right? Like these are dreadnoughts that you want to drop. CCP stated that they wanted these T2 dreadnoughts to be a disruptive tool, yes, but they wanted them to be economically viable.
Yeah.
If you want to drop 3 of these to interrupt, a battleship fleet, spending 45 billion ISK is not the best way to interdict or disrupt a battleship fleet.
Yeah. But to be
you
fair,
may as well just use a bunch of carries.
But to be fair, I don't think that they ideally want to be used against like subcap fleets. I think really especially with the cost kind of side of things, the addition to the cost kind of addition to the sort of like calculation with regards to the cost, because like most of the time dreads, right? Like when you're using dreads in more than sort of like the like haphazard casual high angle weapon, like I'll throw this down against a roving gang and see what happens, sort of thing. Like when you're using dreads in a large sort of like a engagement, that kind of thing, what you generally tend to do is a calculation as to how much damage do I need to put down in order to kill this really sizable thing, and how much is likely to get out alive, how much is likely to not get out alive, and whether that cost for those dreads are worth the cost of the thing that we're about to kill, right? And to be fair, some of the calculations there is wonky a little bit, because putting a bunch of dreads into build is a lot easier than putting a super or a titan into build, because but supers and titans are generally the thing that you end up using mass dreads on, right? What Lancer dreadnoughts, especially with the sort of the Lance DD, or the sort of like the lower level Lance DD that they have, would as far as I can understand, especially with the costs associated with it now, it's more likely to be used against like carrier groups, right? Like bunched carriers that are essentially situated on or very near to a a citadel grid, or a citadel in some way, shape, or form, but are skynetting fighters away from them, essentially. in that kind of sense, I can understand the cost sort of calculation working out to be favorable. You know, depending on how many you can actually, depending on how bunched up the carriers are, because that's a very important factor, right? Like, you know, the thing that what was it, the what was the operation again? Operation Einho, right? The reason the reason why Einho kind of could have worked was because the size of super carriers at that particular time were literally 50% of the size that they are now, right? And they were bunched up in such a sort of density that you could hit a lot of them with a single sort of Titan lance, right? And that was the idea of, you know, yeah, we're gonna drop a bunch of Titans here, but like the potential killing capability in terms of raw ISK was colossal, right? Now it's not really something that is possible because you know, super sizes have been increased by 100% from when they were back when that occurred. So the density and the amount of ships that you can hit with a single lance or with a lance, you know, it is much, you know, much fewer, right?
Sorry,
what was it?
I'm just going to go to Higherbrand's point in Twitch chat real quick.
Yeah.
He says, what's more expensive, losing a few Lancers or losing my battleship fleet and a Keep Star Armor time? Like, in that situation where you're talking about
depends.
a Keep Star Armor timer, yes, that's going to be valuable in terms of using them. But the bigger just kind of like brawls that happen over a random objective, like those kind of fights, these aren't even at 10 to 15 billion ISK. You know, you drop 3 of them over the course of the fight, you lose 45 billion ISK.
Yeah, and sometimes
for what? Like they're not going to be.
Sometimes you're doing the calculation.
A frequent use issue.
Yeah, sometimes you're doing the calculation as to how much ISK am I losing versus how much ISK am I killing, right? But there's a lot of times, especially in nullsec kind of fights, especially in like territorial nullsec fights, that takes a secondary kind of that takes the sort of like a step back to does the use of this particular asset become a determining factor to win the objective, right? Because we threw an absolute ton of stuff against, you know, keep stars that were anchoring and onlining in NPC Delve, right? And all of those fights, when you look at them individually, you know, were extremely expensive for, you know, for us versus, you know, the people who were you know, for you know, for you know, our enemies, right? And it was just a case of and it was a case of like, but that wasn't the point. The point wasn't to be ISK efficient. The point wasn't to be to look, you know, elite PvPers on the kill board. The objective was to achieve the objective, right? And so to some degree, you know, if you're using an asset to complete an objective, especially if that objective is extremely important, then it doesn't really matter too much as to how expensive that asset is. It just depends on whether you have enough capability of being able to replace those assets. Right?
Yeah, it was at the time, but yeah. What's the time frame, Ranchellian asks. I haven't seen what the time frame is on training the new skills. I know that there are new skills. So you're going to have to train, you know, advanced dreadnought operation or whatever the fuck the skill is called. Before you can use these things. You are going to need like Dreadnought 5 to use these things. It's chances are that people will just skill inject to get it early on. But yeah, it's going to be if you're going to train it manually, it's going to be a long train.
Yeah, expect people to drop like skill injectors onto it, like guaranteed.
Which
Absolutely
is like
guaranteed.
CCP is kind of expecting people to do that as well.
They built the system to allow that to happen. Like that's you can't,
because otherwise they would have seeded the market by now with
they can't be mad at people level 5.
No, CCP can't be mad, but I can be mad that they are kind of pushing
we can all be
people
mad
to
about it because like I
pay
fucking
money
hate
for
it.
it.
I genuinely hate the ability to be able to insta like new skills or be able to like literally throw around skill points that easily.
I wouldn't go that far, but you are kind of forcing people to do it by not giving everyone equal opportunity to train the skills before these things get released, right? Which is what
they should have released these skill books a month ago.
They're hoping that people are just going to open their wallet and drop money on the on the store.
Yeah, which is bullshit. That is pay to win, right?
Historically, they would have dropped the skill books for any new ships a month before the actual ship's release, and they would have given people training time, right? So they could slow train if they wanted to. They haven't done that here. They didn't do that with the last new ships we saw, which was the Edencom ships. Like, they're just... It's becoming very fucking obvious.
Yeah.
You know, it's becoming very fucking obvious that they are looking for people's wallets nowadays and not looking for the actual general health of the game and the ability to just use it as a sandbox. But also, there was a suggestion in Twitch chat that production needs new skills. Production does not need new skills. Advanced capital construction has been around forever. But yeah, you need new skills to fly the ships.
Yeah, it's just a rare thing because not too many people are building, jump freighters all the time.
I'm saying absolutely nothing about the fact that I have an alt that has it.
All right, okay, maybe more people have it than I expect, but all right. I'll take a back
also,
seat,
I have historically built, Titans, Supers, jump freighters, I have an alt that has it. But I would say more people have it than you necessarily think.
Yeah.
Either way, it's not new skills, it's old skills that are being added to the production chain.
It's just unfortunate that these skill books haven't been dropped so far.
Yeah, bad decisions. CCP.
The thing is, so the funny thing is, we could look at it two ways, right? We could look at it as it was something that maybe they considered doing, but it's just it slipped their mind or slipped their scheduling or wasn't considered to be a priority in some way, shape, or form, and so it's like fallen by the wayside, or it was a deliberate thing and it was never intended to be dropped in any way, shape, or form before the actual the launch of Viridian, and they are hoping and praying that people will literally open their wallets to be able to pay to pay outright for XP in order to just boost it to 5 or whatever. Which is one of those things where like we were talking about CCP's incompetence and earlier on in the show sort of thing, and I don't mean that in terms of like the wholesale, right? It's very much a managerial kind of thing of not having a backup plan or a backup sort of CCP dev to sort of to cover what's his face.
There is no CCP backup at CCP.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where Could it be, could it be just sort of like something falling by the wayside? I don't know. I guess people out there would have to sort of like, make up their own mind as to whether it's incompetence or whether it's an actual plan, right? It feels like it's a plan. But
Twitch chat is currently reporting that Brisk Rubal is still an STK Scientific, by the way. That's not accurate. Brisk Rubal has fled to the refuge of Karmafleet.
If you are looking at EFU for that information, then maybe consider the state of the
ESI.
API.
And the ESI.
Brisk Rubal is now a wonderful, valued member of Karmafleet, as is Seaman. They are both loved individuals, and we bid them welcome.
To be fair, he's been enjoying, playing with Karmafleet and their members, for a long period of time. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, he was previously the only non-Karmafleet conflict director. He is now,
which is impressive,
actually a Karmafleet director. Director. Yeah. So we welcome Brisk, we welcome Simo, we welcome anybody else who may want to
bridge
the divide and come to Karmafleet.
If I need to get into Goons, I have my own particular ways of getting into Goons, so that's fine. But as it is the top of the hour, it is the top of the hour, we might as well go and do like one last thing. So I have no idea whether Caleb's here. Like, Caleb has said things in chat, but he seems to be AFK on his, like, he may show up, may realize like,
I'm kind of still here, but yeah, I was.
Are you in hiding, Caleb? Is this the thing? Are you in visual hiding?
Yeah, and you were down a rabbit hole where I was kind of. I think you lost me somewhere along the way.
I can understand that.
Caleb left us to our rants.
Yeah.
Very deep in weeds.
Sloth and Dirk had some serious rants to go. Yeah. So Caleb, I know that you hadn't really ranted much at all today. But do you have anything that you either wanted to add, wasn't really?
No, I was just I was kind of expecting us to go into some of the historical examples of some of the things.
Oh, well, some of the things that we found out, like that.
Yeah, because we were kind of doing something akin to, or at least I tried to do something akin to planning what I was going to chat about on the show. And we got a little bit sidetracked. Again, because of what I said and Soth denied it, there was quite a lot of things potentially to talk about, because there was a lot of details that could have been relevant to dig into. I was asked and had a conversation about the history of industrial indexes in EVE Online, which of course took us down the very long and deep rabbit hole of many things that CCP has brought in, right?
Because they changed those recently.
In less than 2 minutes. Instantly withdraw to your PayPal.
Hello, Eric. Can we mute Eric?
Just, for whatever reason, Eric's like,
if you look at CCP history,
an
right?
AI started
and you look at how they tease us with some new feature, and we get really excited because it's exactly the kind of feature that we really want. Like something like projects. I think we've been asking for something like projects for at least 10 years, right? And then when we get it, we get this half-baked cake. It's literally like the nailed it memes, right? It's like, why do you keep messing this up so bad? Could you consider doing a little bit of Q&A before you finish your product? It's like, why? Industry indexes would have been a great idea, but if you're bringing out structures the way they then did, you should have it per structure, not as a universal system-based index. It's just these things just not make sense.
You're talking about Q&A, but have you seen the latest thing they are sending out via email to people?
Oh yes, we missed that. But yes,
where they
CCP have done the survey
people,
again.
Yeah, they're literally asking people if we want an FPS set in the EVE universe, and it's like, guys, you've shown 3 times, if not 4 times, that you cannot make it work. Why don't you drop that idea?
And you don't need the survey, because the survey is not about. The problem is not us as players whether we want something like that, because we would most likely want to try an FPS. The problem is they can't make one.
There's a reason why people liked Dust, right? There's a reason why people played Dust, and there's a reason why.
There was a big reason why they complained about the fact that they could not play Dust.
But there's also a reason why people didn't like Nova. And it was because Nova didn't instill any of the things that we liked about Dust.
Exactly. The thing is,
we were expecting Nova.
How many people exactly like Dust? Because, I mean,
I quite like Dust. I literally bought a PS3 for Dust.
Yes. Yes. How many people did though?
That's half the issue. Right?
I mean, that's true.
That's half the issue. They released it on a platform that wasn't where their main user base was.
Exactly. So you can't really get a good number or idea of whether people liked it or not, because you basically force people to buy a sunsetting platform to buy a game that people kind of knew was eventually going to shut down because it was on a sunsetting platform. So it's just a ridiculous premise that they ask these things. And then just personally, I feel the same about Dust versus other FPS games, the way I think many do. It's a bit like Wildlands versus the new spin-off. It's like, you've made the game worse. If you go from Dust and then to Nova, this is not the game we want. You've made a worse product.
So my issue with Nova was the fact that they touted the game, right? This new Project Nova, as being Dust, but on the hulls of ships, of EVE ships, right? Now, when you think of the hulls of EVE ships, right, and you look at and you zoom in to the hulls of EVE ships, what you don't see are corridors and platforms and, steps and ladders and stuff like that. You see what you expect to see on the hulls of ships, which is the hull of a ship, right? I could understand that. If you plonked me on the hull of a ship with mag boots and allowed me an assortment of utilities that provides me with cover, provides me with the ability to flank and the ability to sort of disrupt or disengage or sort of fool my enemy in some way, shape or form, then fantastic. But what you ended up getting with Nova was just basically Unreal Tournament, but with slightly better graphics and NPCs, and it was that's not what we were expecting, and so that's why
it's silly,
people
because
hated
it's there's no hole in the market for that gameplay. This is not something that FPS players are missing. So if they go that route, it's just so backwards. The thing that EVE has is a lot of planets in solar systems, right? A lot of planets, a lot of moons that could warrant some sort of gameplay, exactly like Dust was giving us. This is where you want the gameplay, and then you can add the other things later. You don't add something like tournament ship battles.
If the expansive kind of terrain-based sort of stuff is too much and too much to sort of deal with in terms of workload in order to create the game, right? And you want to create that claustrophobic kind of corridor style PvP, FPS PvP. Why did you run with the whole on the surface of ships thing when all that is the only way that is sold to players who tried Nova was just an interesting, dynamic, pretty skybox. That was literally it, right? If you want to create that claustrophobic corridor style FPS PvP, why the hell did you not just say like the content or the sort of like the FPS is inside of citadels? Makes a lot of sense. Makes complete sense. You don't need to worry about a skybox. You don't need to deal with a skybox. You can kind of deal with normal FPS stuff. You can create indoor environments that don't require like, super huge kind of complex, terrain-based, sort of like graphics and like all of the associated work that's required and for that kind of stuff. Why? Like, I don't understand how that project went so fucking sideways into something that nobody fucking wanted.
It's completely brainless. It's so backwards because if anything is missing today, it's something like an engaging, open world like procedural thing that means something, right? Dust is exactly what we need. Again, PlanetSide is just being mentioned, right? PlanetSide, but done even better with modern graphics, with procedural generated content. So there's something for versus environment and something versus player. This is what it should have been. It's like, and they keep with this low effort. They want to just be able to package something that takes them nothing in man hours or workload, and then just ship it and maximize some sort of monetization pump. It's just lazy mode, and this is where CCP has been the last, I want to say, 10 years. Lazy mode, maintenance mode, no vision. Everyone that used to have balls and vision seems to have been running away screaming from the dev crew. There's only the strong ones left, the ones that don't feel like bailing, because there's better places to work these days. There's plenty of things coming out from
there's plenty of exciting projects elsewhere. Yeah. Exactly.
Even CCP developers are now doing projects. I know at least 2 of them are doing big projects.
And that everyone has been one last rant. So
Caleb's rant for the day, because we are now 12 minutes past the hour.
To be fair, we were on like stream starting for a fair while, to be honest. So like I can understand that. Like that's why we're running a little bit. That's why I'm being much more lenient with the whole, like,
Yeah.
And plus,
I'm not too worried about it. But that was Caleb's one last rant.
You don't have scrims to go to, Dirk, so it's fine.
I don't need to disappear off, but we do need to like clear the air so that everyone can go and grab a drink, have some food before the meta show.
Yes. So Dirk, was there anything within the last 2 hours that you didn't get to rant about?
I think we
nothing that I didn't. Nothing that I didn't get to rant about. I'm not going to start another rant at this point. I am going to say that CCP, they started to seem like they were getting somewhere again, and this week has evidently shown that no, they still very much need to get the fucking act together. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. Like. Yeah. The way this tournament has run is not the fault of the people who were supposed to be running it, but it has been fucking shambles.
But it showcases,
and it needs to be better.
Yeah, it showcases a massive issue with CCP's managerial decision-making process.
Yeah, there's still obviously very significant issues, and CCP just need to be better.
Yeah.
Once again, what an incredible surprise it is for us to be once again on this show suggesting that CCP done fucked up and need to make improvement.
I'm telling you, we will be taken over by AIs very soon. We can train them on what we say and then just have it fill in blanks of what comes out of CCP.
I've been tempted to sort of ask ChatGPT as to a script for generating a script for this show, just to see what the fuck it comes out with.
You would have to feed it with transcripts of all our earlier shows.
No, but yeah,
have fun with that.
That should there are tools that will be able to transcript
The answer is just all of the words.
Yes. Have you seen how well those work?
I have
that
not,
would be a feature.
but I am
that would
interested.
that would add entertainment value.
I'm interested to see how badly that would work on our shows.
Yeah, especially with everyone having a different
and I don't think annotations really work too well when there's like 3 or 4 people talking at the same time, either.
Yeah, that's just on top.
It just goes confused AI noises.
So, going down the list, Eric, are you still with us? Have you been listening?
I am still, absolutely.
You are a saint and a soldier, my friend. How are you doing?
Well, I really don't think that Dirk has ranted enough today. So that's kind of my one last thing. So I think you need to up it next week, up the effort.
Rant ball.
Get your shit together, Dirk. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, for crying out loud, But no, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. I love all the discussion today. So, excuse me. But yeah, great show. Thank you. And thank you to McLeod, who's been hosting the last couple of weeks. Much appreciated.
Hey, no worries, mate. No worries.
All right.
So, do you have anything to add?
No, I've added enough today.
You've added enough today. I'm almost out of my mature content, so I guess with that, some programming notes.
The end of Mac's mature content.
Yeah. The end of
we'll end the show.
We're at the end of the mature content, but we've got some programming notes to mention to you guys. One obviously is the meta show, which is coming up in less than 45 minutes. So once we finish here, get your skates on in terms of like getting whatever you need to get done before sitting down and watching the meta show, because it's bound to be pretty decent today, for sure. One of the other kind of things is, and if I could actually get to there's a schedule. One of the other things as well is tomorrow. Apparently, we have a episode of Cartridge to Cloud, which, if you've never seen it before, it is essentially a talk show regarding general gaming. So if you're more of a fan of if you're interested in gaming that isn't EVE related specifically, then check that out. And then obviously next week's schedule as such. Definitely check out the sort of the Diablo kind of streams that we have going on. I believe Mifune has a Wormhole Wednesdays thing going on Wednesdays, so you should check that out. And the usual Theta Thursday happens on Thursday/Friday, depending on which which time zone you're in exactly. And then straight back to us on a Saturday. And
lots of stuff going on here at the minute.
Yeah, exactly. So until next Saturday, we'll see you. We'll see you then. But check out some of the other stuff that's going on in on the channel.
Have a good rest of your day, everybody.
Take care, and we'll see you next Saturday, I guess. Cheerio.